Today, I'm so excited because we have our first ever double feature on the podcast where I'm going to be talking with two of my longtime friends and mentors, George Armistead and Joe White. Both George and Joe are leaders of the Nashville chapter of Kiwanis, which is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to changing the world one child and one community at a time. One of the sort of adjacent or sister or partnership organizations to Kiwanis is Bootstraps, and I know that you're very active in that organization, and would love to learn a little bit more because I think that there's sort of a, like you said, Kiwanis is focusing on children, and Bootstraps is taking that sort of to another level with like very specific funding, right?
Yeah, it is very specific. Bootstraps and Kiwanis are separate, but they're not really because I'm on the board of Bootstraps, but I'm not on the board of Kiwanis, Georgia.
Sure.
But everyone I sit on the board of Bootstraps with is a Kiwanian, and stems from the fact that at one time Bootstraps and Kiwanis were together, but they've since separated. For those who don't know what Bootstraps is, it comes from the theme of pulling oneself up by their bootstrap. And the Bootstraps Foundation rewards perseverance through adversity to graduating high school seniors in Nashville who survived enormous adversities and still graduated with outstanding grades.
Yeah.
And we reward them with scholarships to go to college, sometimes without which they can't continue their education.
It's amazing.
And it's the adversity isn't necessarily a lack of funds. In fact, it's never that's the reason we award a scholarship. They could have survived cancer. They could have survived homelessness. In fact, there's one story. It's almost.
And these are high school kids, right, Joe? I mean, these are high school kids that have already faced this before they're even adults.
They're high school. And I remember her name because at the time it was right after the hurricane. Her name was Katrina. And Katrina went to Hillwood High School.
Yeah.
And what Bootstraps does is ask every principal at every high school and every social worker in every high school in the 9-county area of Nashville to submit one person who should be rewarded for persevering through adversity. Just one in the whole school. And she was the one that year. Katrina was from Hillwood High School. And here's her story. Katrina wanted to be a nurse. And here's why. Katrina was thrown out of her house because her mother's boyfriend was on the sexual addiction list. And her mother had to choose between her boyfriend and her daughter and chose the boyfriend. Where Katrina ended up, she became a victim of abuse.
Wow.
She became homeless. And she had to endure becoming pregnant and having a child of her own while still a child herself. And so I'm reading this application that her social worker sent, and they're describing Katrina's life the way I'm describing it to you. She moved in with her grandmother, who was about to lose her house because she was diagnosed with dementia. They let Grandma keep the house because Katrina moved in with her child. She worked at McDonald's and raised her child and got a 4.0. And the only reason she wanted to be a nurse is so she could help other people that she met in the waiting room when she took her grandma to her dementia.
Oh, my God.
Is that a worthwhile reason to award someone going through adversity? Katrina, with a child of her own.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and that, God, I have goosebumps just listen. Like, it's such an amazing, you can look back at your own life and, go over the things that you've been through. Right. And you don't like to compare and, I'm doing better than this person or I'm doing worse, but you hear a story like that and it's nearly impossible to not have empathy and be like, oh my gosh, like that's just like, that's just a hit after a hit after a hit. And to be able to stay focused on your life's mission of helping other people on top of all of that, like, can easily become jaded, could easily have chosen a different path. And what a great way to be honored.